Good afternoon, everyone. This is Victoria in Agent Development. Carrie Breedemeyer is also on here with me too, so maybe he will keep an eye on those questions as they come in. Just as a reminder, everyone is muted in this sort of format, so if you can find that question panel, feel free to type your questions in there as we go along. I'll try and keep an eye on it as well and answer anything. And then at the end, I'll definitely be sure to check it and see if anybody else has questions as well. So let me get my panel out of my view here. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. So we're going to talk about Buyside today. I'm going to go into all the different pieces of Buyside. I hope we should be probably under an hour to get through all of this. And then again, if anybody has questions, they can stick around at the end. So from the beginning, I just want to point out, everybody knows that they have a website with Tucker. Everybody has talktotucker.com/firstname.lastname. So here's Carrie's website. When you first come here, though, this question or this bar here that you can type into at the top is sort of geared towards buyers, right? Like it's automatically like buy is highlighted, where's the address or the neighborhood or the zip code, wherever it is that you are looking to buy. So it's absolutely geared towards buyers. But if I scroll down a little bit more, you know, obviously there's like the About Me section, and you can edit all of this in the toolbox, whatever you want. And then there is this what is your home worth kind of widget thing about halfway down, because if we keep going, we're going to see testimonials and blog articles, featured listings, but people have short attention spans, right? And a lot of times they don't read or they don't scroll. So if you are only using your website, that's great, awesome. But I have a suggestion for you as well. All of the agents, you guys also all have a home valuation site. So it's this what is your home worth, but it's right in the forefront. It's all that it does. So this is what mine looks like. It is home values. Well, it would be prettier if the graphic in the background would load. Let's see if I reload it. There it is. So yours is, everyone's is homevalues.talktotucker.com/firstname.lastname. So I do have one of these, even though I'm not an agent. I have a home valuation site just that I use for training. So you all have one too, homevalues.talktotucker.com/firstname.lastname. So we are looking at this as a consumer. So if you put this out there in the world, which I recommend that you do, you know, post it on Facebook. Some people will hyperlink this in their email signature. So if you've ever gotten an email from another agent and in their signature it says, you know, wondering what your home is worth, click here to find out, this is probably what they are linking back to. So again, think of this as a consumer. We're looking at it here. They can put in an address. Cool. If they keep scrolling, it kind of breaks down, you know, what this means. So let's go ahead and put in an address. And as I type, you will see that it's going to give me like a little drop down here from Google. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click the little magnifying glass. It's going to load. Apparently the internet is slow today. So here it is. Again, this is the view as a consumer. They have looked up the address of this home. It pulls info here from the tax records. So I actually know that this is wrong. This home does not have 3 beds and 1 bath. It has 4 and 2. But somewhere, somebody has it wrong. It's not a big deal. Don't get hung up on that. As the consumer, they can put in here to receive monthly updates on this property. If they put in their email, you don't have to do anything. Buyside, the system, just automatically starts sending them monthly updates on this property. You get a little like spinny view. Sometimes it's an overhead Google Maps view of the house and the neighborhood. And then it gives us some valuations here. Don't get hung up on these either. These are just sort of a starting point for someone to start thinking about the value of their home. And then you get to actually you can use these numbers later to sort of talk about the value of their home as well. Is it possible to make my screen bigger? I am full screen, Byron, you actually might be able to pull that window that you're seeing my screen through, like on one of the corners. If you drag and pull it, you might be able to make that part bigger. So it might be something on your end because I'm full screen on my end. I hope that helps. Okay, so back to these home valuations. And it even says here, like, to the consumer, do you notice a variation in the values above? You know, a realtor understands your home better than a cold computer model. Ask an FC Tucker agent to create, you know, a competitive market analysis for you. So don't get hung up on these, and we'll come back to these valuations because you can see there's a pretty big, you know, difference between 308 and 275. It also wants to know, like, what is the condition of the property? If somebody starts like clicking around, it's going to want them to verify ownership, whether through Google or Facebook. It asks you those creepy questions, you know, when it knows a lot about you, just so that you are who you say you are, especially if you're claiming to be the homeowner. It gives us a heat map here of where people are searching. So, you know, we're saying we know where and what buyers are searching for. And it's kind of like a weather map. The darker the color, the more activity. All of this activity is coming directly from talktotucker.com. So when we're talking about Buyside, any of the data in Buyside only comes from talktotucker.com. But remember, Tucker gets more traffic than MyBor and Realtor.com combined. So we get millions of people that come to our website every month. So that's where this data is coming from. The little dotted lines are not super geographical. They don't really mean anything. It's just breaking up those sections of where people are looking from one versus another. So you can see this area is really, really hot. This happens to be, I think, Keystone that's coming kind of down the middle here. I guess maybe over here on this side, it's not as hot. So it's just sort of breaking it up that way. If I keep scrolling, it gives me some more of these numbers, sort of by price range and by bedroom, what people are looking for. And then it gives me buyer activity in the last 90 days. So this is buyer searching in the last 90 days on talktotucker.com. You can see in the last 90 days, we've had almost 13 million people. And then it just sort of funnels it down based on a 5-mile radius, and then a 5-mile radius within this home's price range. Now a 5-mile radius, this price range, and looking for a 3-bedroom. That's still over 100,000 people. That's a lot of people looking for a home just like yours. Because again, we're still looking at this as the consumer, and the consumer sees those numbers and they're like, hey, wow, dang, that looks pretty good to me. And then if I scroll even a little bit farther, the consumer sees, hey, we actually have 18 people right now that match exactly what your home has to offer. These people are looking for homes just like yours. That's awesome. Sign me up. What do I do next? There's some other info here about like supply side trends. If I keep scrolling, it shows me recent nearby sales in the neighborhood. This is new. I forget that they do this now. So this is kind of interesting as well. And I wonder if, no, okay. There was an address I was looking for. Anyway, so this is, again, what the consumer sees. They're like, awesome. I kind of know what my home is worth. Or maybe if they're just somebody who is being a nosy neighbor or whatever the reason, they're like, cool, I know what this home is worth. Awesome. If they want to contact Victoria, the agent, they can at any time, like sort of start clicking through. But otherwise, this might just be where the consumer stops and they don't take any other action. Here is where it's time for you to take action. Because somebody went to my home valuation site and checked the value of a home, I just got an email that says, alert, someone checked the valuation of their home. It gives me the property owner's name. It even gives me a little video and info that I can watch kind of about this. But at this point, because I've gotten this email, this is alert, somebody checked the value of their home, I know that I now need to go into the back side of Buyside and see what I can do with this lead. So when I get this email, I'm going to hop into the back side of Buyside. I'm going to do that by going from my Okta dashboard. The only way that you can log into Buyside is through Okta. I have this little Buyside widget guide here. And if I click on that, it's going to open up the backside. Sometimes you get this little like security note, just hit send anyway. We trust Buyside. Nadine just has like a super great, filter thing. I don't know what it is, like security. All right, so here we see my Buyside dashboard, and I have this big green circle that says you have one new evaluation attempt. So I'm going to click on that big green circle. Here it's showing me this lead. It does pull the owner's name off the tax record. Recently, they updated this. If there are two people on the tax record, it will show you both of them. It only used to show you one, but I don't own my home with anybody else, so it's just me. So it shows the owner name, it shows the address. Beyond that, at this point, we don't really know, was it the homeowner that checked the value of their home, or was it a neighbor? Was it a jealous ex-boyfriend? Was it somebody who's driven past this house a million times and they always say, man, if that home ever goes up for sale, I would absolutely love to buy that. I wonder how much it's worth. So again, at this point, we don't exactly know who checked the value of this home. But I don't think this is an ice cold lead. It might be a little lukewarm. I would recommend, absolutely, I would put this name in my CRM. And then I would at least send them something in the mail because we have their address. So we've already tried to take some of that work out of the equation for you. So if I go to Tucker Toolbox, and I'm going to hop around a lot in this, and I apologize for that, but just hang with me. It all makes sense in the end. If I come to Tucker Toolbox, I can actually, we have a bunch of Buyside resources in here, and I never remember where they live. So I just search for Buyside. There's that Buyside marketing. I'm going to click on that. And there is a whole page in the toolbox about Buyside. So here's some great social media graphics. We'll come back to those. But if I keep scrolling, there is a follow-up letter here that's already been created. If I click on it, it's going to ask me to make a copy and drive. I'm going to go ahead and hit make a copy. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to switch out Cookie Monster's info down here at the bottom with my info and my picture. But basically, this letter says, I'm following up on a recent home value request that I received on your property. Basically, it's saying, if you wanted to know what your home is worth, I would love to sit down and talk to you about market data. If you did not request this valuation, it's possible that there's still a buyer who's interested in your home. And I would still love to sit down and talk to you about it, whether it was you or whether it was somebody else. If you're interested in selling, I'm here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller or whoever. So feel free to call or email me. So at this point, you can at least, again, send them some type of snail mail, I guess. So you can find those in the toolbox. Just search for Buyside in the little search bar, and it's this follow-up letter here. Okay, so let's go back into Buyside, and I'm going to filter my dates a little bit here and see if we can find one that is a little bit of a hotter lead. Ooh, I guess I gotta go really far back. Here we go. Here is one that somebody said, I am the homeowner. They have claimed this property. Now this one's a little funky because the names don't match this person who, wanted, or at least they wanted more updates. They didn't say that they were the homeowner. They said that they wanted more updates on this property. And in this regard, we might be able to tell, well, the names don't match, especially now it gives you both names that are on the tax records because, some people could have different last names and still be homeowners. But at least now, especially, it gives you both. So we would know that this one is not, but this person still subscribed. They have since unsubscribed, and that's just because I didn't want to get those monthly notifications on this address. But, we've got a little bit more info here. We at least now know this person's name and we have their email address. So again, I'm going to put them in my CRM and, they are a potential buyer. Maybe they were just interested in this property or something like it. Let's see if I can find one that's even older. I swear I thought I had one in here. Here we go. Here's a perfect one. So we can see that the homeowner here was Carrie, and Carrie is the one who checked the value of his own home. He gave me his email address. He he did claim it. He said, yes, I am the homeowner. And he did subscribe at the time to having a monthly newsletter. He has since unsubscribed, which makes sense because he doesn't want to know info on his own home. But you know, if this was a true homeowner who was looking for a value, they would probably stay subscribed. So this is a great example of a really hot lead of the homeowner who's saying, yes, I want to know what my home is worth. I'm still probably going to send them something in the mail. I might send them that follow-up letter. I'm going to put them in my CRM, and then I'm probably going to reach out to them directly. Sometimes people will even put their phone numbers in here too, which is great because then you could just call or text them. But I'm probably at least going to email Carrie. I'm definitely going to start sending him the Market Watch and the monthly e-newsletter out of the CRM, which I know we're switching CRMs, but it's all coming. And we'll have some like drip campaign stuff. We were actually having a conversation about how all that looks this morning. So he's going to start getting my emails, and I'm going to start working on him as a potential seller. So get your valuation site out there. That way you can start getting, you know, leads, especially hopefully seller leads, especially in this market where we have pretty low inventory. So that's kind of the first leg of Buyside, getting that valuation site out there and helping you get leads through Buyside. Okay, so any questions about kind of that first piece? I'm going to get a drink and see if anybody's got any questions here. Okay, I don't see anything, so let's kind of keep rolling here. Real quick though, before I forget, I want to show you guys just a couple of like housekeeping things. I should have done this first, I apologize. But when I'm on the back side of Buyside here, if I come up in the right-hand corner, you'll see your name, maybe even your picture. But I'm going to hover over my name and go to my account. And then make sure your contact info here is correct. Over on the left-hand side, there is a little like menu here. There is my photo. This is where you can upload a photo. I skipped changing your password, but the important one is this fourth one down. It's notification settings. Make sure that you have both of these turned on. So email from other users, yes, but more importantly, is this valuation attempt. Make sure you have that turned on to yes. That's how I got that email that said, alert, somebody has checked the value of their home. And then make sure you save it or update it down here in the right-hand corner with this yellow update button. So make sure you turn that on. Sometimes it's a bit finicky. You'll turn it on and then hit update, and then it'll look like it's not on, but it does stay on, I promise. We've just encountered that. So if you see something weird, just make sure, hit yes, hit update, you'll be good. Okay. All right, so we talked about like helping you use your valuation site to help get listings. That's where these come into play too. If I go back into the toolbox, we've got these great like social media graphics that marketing has already created, you know, looking to sell, let's talk. And then you can throw your URL or that link to your home valuation site like on Facebook. Instagram is not as great for that, but maybe in like your bio, your Instagram bio, you could throw that valuation site there. So it's a nice clickable link as well. So don't forget these are here. Okay, so let's say whether it's through Buyside or through some other lead or whatever, you are going to go on a listing appointment. One of the pieces that we love, oops, I got too many tabs open, in training is this BMA. So again, I'm in the backside of Buyside, and here's my dashboard. This kind of middle one up here at the top, it says the BMA. It stands for Buyer Market Analysis. There's a little video here that kind of explains what this is and how to create one, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go ahead and put in an address. And it's going to do that thing. My computer's trying to autofill, but I don't want it to. There we go. There's the drop down. And I'm going to hit next step. And then this is where you can kind of edit and verify some of these property details if you know for sure. At this point, you might not know from the homeowner, but I do know for sure. I live here. So I got 4 beds, 2 baths, square footage looks correct. I'm not going to worry about it as much. I don't think you all should either. I am going to make sure that it is a single family detached. I'm going to hit next. And then, hey, look, here are those home values again. So you can choose to include these or not in when you create your BMA. Some people choose just to include these two and not the dreaded Z word. I'm going to include all three just so that you can see what it looks like. So I've clicked on them, they've turned green, they're highlighted now. I can even include my own personal estimation if I wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm going to hit next. And then it shows me a range of featured buyers. So this is great. Like, I have a range from 250 to 345. It is saying that the system has 30 buyers who match with what I think that this home might be worth. Now, I can move that. If I think that 250 is a little low, and I think it is, we could bump this up, and it dropped me down to 18. But still, I think that 18 is a great number, especially when we only need one, right? So perfect. I like this. Let's see. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Let's say like 330. Okay, I'm still at 18. I'm going to go ahead and hit generate PDF. And this does take about a true 60 seconds to create. But then it's going to spit out like a really nice PDF. And Carrie, my partner in crime, this is actually what he uses. This is like the first several pages of his listing presentation. So when he goes to somebody's home, or he meets them in person or whatever, this is what he takes sort of as the beginning of his listing presentation. And I'll show you why in a second. It's already branded to you. It's branded to Tucker. It's, you know, the design is pretty nice and slick, easy to read, kind of a great leave behind for your clients. Okay, cool. So there is the downloaded report. So I can hit view report, where it's downloaded here in my downloads. Let me show you what this looks like. All right, so here it is, branded to Tucker. It's going to have the address of the home. It's going to have all of your contact info. It has a page that's kind of like why, you know, the FC Tucker Company. Again, you're probably not going to go through like every single bit of this, maybe one or two statistics, leave it, you know, with your sellers. And then here are those real-time valuations. And I know that like Carrie especially uses these sort of as a starting point, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's kind of what some cold computer models are saying. Do you think that they're anywhere in the realm? You know, what are you thinking that your home is worth? Just to sort of open up that conversation and that dialogue for you to be able to sort of tell, you know, are they right on the money? Are they giving you a number and they're saying something that sounds right to you? Or are they possibly saying, oh, no, these are way too low. And you automatically know that maybe we're going to have a little bit of a tougher conversation here, but it's setting you up in a better way instead of you coming out with a number and then them saying, oh, no, like, I don't agree with that at all. And then, you know, you've got a little bit more of a back and forth. I don't want to say a fight, but like, you've got a little bit more of a disagreement to get to a number that sounds correct to both of you. So he uses these as just sort of a jumping off point. And again, don't get too hung up on the numbers. Don't let your sellers get too hung up on them. It's just a conversation starter, okay? If I keep scrolling, it then shows us that heat map again. So we can see where people are searching for. Again, this is all data from talktotucker.com. But in this instance, you know, we could say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, your neighborhood is hot. People are looking for stuff in your area. And it shows them that online activity again. So these numbers appear a little bit differently just because we sort of funneled down those numbers on that last page where I sort of slid that little bar back and forth. So that's why these numbers aren't exact. And then I also did adjust the bed and bath count. So don't forget, I did that too. So if you're like, why don't these numbers match from when we looked as the consumers, that's why. So again, here's more of that data if you have somebody who's like really into the numbers. And then here are those potential buyers actively searching between 275 and 330 in the last 90 days. So you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have 18 people who are already looking for a home just like yours. And if you choose to work with me, I can reach out to the agents of those 18 people and help sell your home quicker, more easily, because I'll be working with a fellow Tucker agent. And they're going to say, hey, that sounds awesome. I want to list with you. You already have 18 people in your pipeline who want to buy my house. Yay! And you get the listing. So who are these people, right? Who are these 18 people? I'm so glad that you asked. Here's the tricky thing about Buyside. These 18 people are saved searches on talktotucker.com. So you know when you go to our website, in the upper right-hand corner, there is a little spot that says sign in or join. And this is, again, consumer facing. This is a sign in or join for a consumer. So a consumer can come here and create a MyTucker account, or I like to recommend to agents to create a MyTucker account for their clients. You already know what their email address is. I would ask and get their permission and say, hey, do you mind? I'm going to set you up with a MyTucker profile. It's just going to be another tool for us to help you, find a home. So this is on the buy side. I would do this. You could possibly do it on the seller side too, but absolutely, if you were representing a buyer, I would do this. So I have a MyTucker account. I think it's this one. So again, let's pretend I'm a consumer. I have logged in. The first time that they make an account, they select an agent, and I should have showed you guys that. Let me log back out. There we go. Okay, so if I went to log in and it says, don't have an account, sign up here, they put in their name, their email, their phone number, create a password, and then all of the agents in the company are listed here alphabetically by last name. So you guys can all find yourselves here, which is why I would maybe do this for my client. That way they don't skip this step, or they don't, select somebody else accidentally, because it's not super easy to change it. You got to get business services involved and have them do it on the back end. But then just create a password for them, maybe your last name or whatever it is, and create an account for them, and then just tell them what their password is. So I'm gonna log back in. No, I did not want you to remember my password. Okay, so this is what the consumer sees in their MyTucker account. They can view and save listings. So here are, like, when I was looking for a home last year, here are all the homes that I saved, which is really nice. I can come in here and I can look at them again. If I go back one, maybe. This is where I can add a new search. So I don't currently have any searches set up because I'm not actively looking for a home, but you could come in here and create a search for your client, set it up. It's not as robust as, say, like a MyBor search or something. You're going to set them up on the portal and all that jazz. This is just sort of a supplementary piece to that. I would still do both probably, because this isn't quite as robust. You don't have as many options, especially if you have somebody who's looking for something like super, super specific. But obviously the more criteria that we add, right, the less results we're going to get, because we're just funneling them down. So plus side, negative side, good, bad, I don't think you can go wrong either way. This might give you some more results than what Matrix could, especially if you're putting in those very specific things in Matrix. Make sense? Okay. So anyway, I would set up a new property search, bed, bath, location. Those are the price. Those are the important things, right? And then I would hit save. Clients can actually have more than one search here. You can create as many as they wanted. So if they were thinking about, 2 different locations or whatever, they can set them up. They also get the MyTucker perks. Presented certain, this is $50 off, 10% off painting. Our vendors offer different discounts and promotions and things like that. And then they can also see their agent. So they would have your info here. So Josh at a Cross Point is my agent. And then there's other contact and stuff. So anyway, MyTucker, the saved searches brings us back to these numbers here. So there are currently 18 people on talktotucker.com who have a saved search for a home like mine in this price range with this number of bedrooms. Cool. Again, you can present this to your possible sellers and say, list with me. And then once you list with me, I will know who the agent attached to these buyer IDs are. So at this point, you never know who the buyers are, who the actual people are. But once somebody decides to list with you, you get to know who the Tucker agent is that is attached to this buyer ID number. So this BMA is just a really nice piece for you to use to try to help you win the listing. I think it looks really slick. You know, it's branded, it's got all your info on it. It's a nice leaf behind. You might print this out, you know, on the nice white paper in the offices and even like comb bind it as part of your listing presentation. Okay, so there's that. There's where those buyer IDs or where these numbers are coming from. Save searches on talktotucker.com. Okay, so do I have any questions about how that part works? No, clear as mud? Okay, so now let's say that we presented this BMA. The sellers are like, yes, this is awesome. I want you, you're awesome. I want you to sell my home. Cool, fantastic. We do all that pre-listing stuff. We, you know, get the pictures. I got a question. There are only Tucker agents listed, right? Yes, Janet. So these people are only going to be represented by Tucker agents. If somebody creates a search on talktotucker.com and they don't select the Tucker agent, it's going to show up as like Tucker customer care. So I'll show you what those people look like. So that would be, you know, maybe if somebody was searching on our website, but then they went with like a KW agent, we're not going to probably know like who those people are. But anybody who says, I'm working with a Tucker agent, I have a search on talktotucker.com. That's why I really recommend setting your people up on that My Tucker yourself. That way they, you know, are connected to you and they stay connected to you. And then if you're the list agent, you're going to be working with a Tucker agent on the other side. Okay, so they say, yes, you're awesome. This is fantastic. I want to list with you. The listing goes live. Woo, fantastic. I would recommend to you guys then to hop into the backside of Buyside. And I'm going to cheat a little, and I'm actually going to go over to Carrie's Buyside just because I don't have any of my own listings. And he has a listing right now. Awesome. He has a listing right here. If you have current listings and you hop into Buyside, you will see them right here on your dashboard. You can't even go in and see past listings, so you can see stuff that has been pended and stuff that has sold as well, if you want to. But he's got a current listing here on Kilworth Court, and look at that. It says that we have 17 matches. So let's click on this. It's going to give us a little bit more info, and then I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and it is going to start showing me those matches. So we have a match right off the bat. It shows you like the higher matches, so criteria that is, you know, more closely linked or matches more up at the top. So here's 100% match. Ashley Wright has a buyer looking, fantastic. What am I going to do? I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call Ashley and I'm going to say, hey, I just had a listing go up at, you know, 10907 Kilworth Court. And I see that you have buyers who are interested. Can we talk? Like, can we do a deal? Sweet. Don Lawless is another one here. Again, see how some of these just say like buyer saved a property. That means that when that person set up their profile on talktotucker.com, they did not indicate that they were working already with a Tucker agent. So you will get some of those. And unfortunately, this one looks like it has quite a few. This property might already be pended, and that's why some of these just say agent. It'll get like that too, like the older, if you go back and if you look at some of your older listings, things that have already sold, you'll see that the names have disappeared, and that's just why people have either disabled their searches or, you know, an agent has maybe left the company or something like that. So sometimes you'll see some weird stuff on especially those older listings where you're like, it doesn't look like anybody was a match, but that's why the back end is sort of like filters some of that old stuff out. But at least, hey, here, I'm going to come through and I'm going to call these people who are up here. You can't even send over on the left-hand side, see how like you can select all. You can send an email to all of those agents who are connected to those buyer ID numbers, but we all get tons of email, right? I know you guys are inundated with like tons of email. I would probably still pick up the phone and call the agent on the other side. Say, hey, looks like you have a buyer. I have a listing that just went up. You know, you might want to have them check it out. I would love to do a deal with you, especially if they're Tucker agents that you have worked with in the past and you know that like you guys have both, you know, have a good working relationship and you made it to the closing table, because that's what everybody wants, right? So it's nice working with another Tucker agent. Hopefully, you know what to expect out of somebody from our company. So that is sort of the nice thing about, once you get the listing, you can come in here, you can see who those matches are. So let me see, like, we'll look at some of Carrie's old. So if I went to view all listings, see, he's got one that's currently pending, and then you can see all of his archived ones as well. So this one had 11 potential buyers. This one had 9. This one had 37. Like, this was I guess a really hot property in Westfield, 3-bed, 2-bath, 248. Yeah, so see, we can't see these agent numbers anymore, or these agent names anymore, and that's just because this property has already sold. So people have, possibly already purchased something as well, so they've disabled their searches. But, he had a lot of people to pick from. Hopefully he found oops, go back to archive listings. So again, we can see, 4, 3, 12, 6, and a 6 might be low, but we only need one, right? We only need one match to make the magic happen. So that's sort of the other part of helping you find buyers more quickly for your listings. And I know like finding buyers quick is maybe not a problem right now, especially in this market. But if things ever go to quote unquote normal or slow down or whatever, it's at least nice to know that you have this option here to help you find a buyer, or especially to find a buyer who's represented by, another Tucker agent. So there's that piece as well. So I like to kind of view Buyside as like 3 different pieces. So getting your home valuation site out there to help you win, or not help you win, but like getting your home valuation site out there to help you get leads, hopefully seller leads, but maybe buyer leads as well. Then using that nice BMA to help you win the listing, some nice pieces here. You get to say, and only you in our market get to say, I have, buyers right now in my pipeline. I can reach out to their agents if you choose to list with me, to help you win that listing. And then the last piece is to, help you find buyers once you get that listing, help you find buyers to make, the deal a little smoother, a little quicker, and get that home sold, top dollar as quickly as possible. So that's how I kind of view Buyside, as those 3 separate pieces. If I hop back into the toolbox, and I'm on, the page for all the Buyside marketing, there's like a branding primer in here that's a really nice piece to take a look at. It just sort of gives you some ideas of how to use some of this stuff, again, that homevalues.talktotucker.com/firstname.lastname shows how to make like a hyperlink clickable. And then it talks about some of the other marketing pieces as well. And that stuff is all in Buyside. So there's the social media graphics, there's that follow-up letter. I'm going to come back to this. If I keep scrolling, there are flyers and there are postcards that you can send out. Again, it's, wondering what your home is worth, visit my valuation site here. You can create these super easy. But then under this Buyside training resources, there's a really nice one here. It's called Using the Buyer Market Analysis. So if I open this, it's just a PDF, and it walks you through that BMA. So it talks about like what it is, how to create it, which you guys all saw me do. But then there's some really nice pieces of like, how do I use it? And there are some dialogues that are already in here. So it breaks down every page, like what the introduction is, why our brokerage, talks to you about pricing your home and using those cold, computer generated, it's historic public data, but a computer model cannot tour your home. It cannot take into account specific features and upgrades and the condition. So all of this verbiage is in here. Obviously, you're not going to read it word for word, but get familiar with it. And then you might feel a little bit more confident, talking to some of these points that are in that BMA. So there's just some really nice dialogue pieces in here, especially maybe if you're a newer agent who isn't, quite confident in how to talk about some of this stuff. I would really recommend coming in here and reading this piece. And again, it is just on the toolbox, about halfway down, that using the buyer market analysis. They have a really nice help center in here too. If I go back into Buyside, wrong one. If I go back into Buyside, there's some more stuff kind of up here. We touched on, we were on the dashboard under this Home Valuation Site. There is like a marketing suite. So there's some other stuff in here as well that kind of talks about like, putting your email signature, putting that link, previewing what your site looks like. We talked about the BMA. Here is your listings. You can also put in buyers too this way. I don't love this as much because it's, your client isn't doing anything or getting anything out of it the way that they're getting like a My Tucker account. They get some perks out of that, but you can put your clients in there. But that's kind of what some of this other stuff is up here at the top. So if I go back to my dashboard, I can still see there's that valuation. If I had any listings, they would be here. And then I could add a buyer too here, I guess, if I wanted to. So there's those sort of like 3 legs of Buyside. I like this website a lot. I think that it's underutilized. I would really, really stress that if you have a lot of buyers, get them in there, get them, whether you add them here, which again, I don't love, or you set up a search, you set up an account for them on talktotucker.com, set up this My Tucker account for them and set up a saved search. I would really recommend that you do that, just because Buyside requires, a large cooperation. We need buyers agents to put their buyers in so that selling agents can find buyers quicker, and then you can hopefully help your buyer clients find homes quicker because the listing agent is reaching out to you directly. So it's just a big like Buyside works the best when we're all sort of cooperating together, getting the buyers in. So then it, turn around, somebody else puts their buyer in. When you're the list agent, you find a buyer quicker, and everybody just has a better, a better transaction, a quicker one, a nicer one, a smoother one, whatever you want to call it. So, okay, so that is Buyside in a nutshell. Anybody have questions about any of it? Okay, I don't have anything in the chat. I'll hang around for another second. But otherwise, thank you for joining me, and you know where to reach Carrie and I in the Agent Development Center. We are here. We're just a phone call or an email or a text message away, and we are always available to help. So thanks, everybody, and have a nice rest of your Monday.